We heard that James Harden, he has been cleared from COVID protocols. Zach LaVine, RJ Barrett, among others today. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kevin Durant's 10-day quarantine is up tomorrow. But if they are cleared to play, is it a guarantee we see them on Christmas Day?
Oh, Malika, it isn't a guarantee, and certainly players that dynamic, MVP level players in the NBA, they want to be involved in the league's biggest showcase. But they've also been in quarantine, and they've been away from their teams, and they've not been able to ramp up. You look at Giannis, who's playing at home on Christmas Day, and that certainly buys him a little more time to be cleared to play, where Kevin Durant, he's got to travel with the Nets potentially on Friday to play that Saturday game. And so the Nets will know better, really tomorrow, whether Kevin Durant can make that trip. And then once you make the trip, can you get cleared to play? Are you ready to play? And those are going to be certainly, factors for those teams. One thing that still might impact Christmas Day, the league and the Players Association are nearing an agreement, I'm told, to shorten that 10-day quarantine for asymptomatic COVID positive players, and that based on certain testing, they could get out sooner, perhaps as soon as 6 days. Now, how that might impact some other players who've been in quarantine who could play Christmas Day or play Sunday or Monday remains to be seen. The sides are finishing up details on that agreement. Then they'll share it with the teams in the league. It's going to look, I'm told, something similar to what the NFL did with their quarantines. They changed their protocols recently.
Well, interesting. And we heard Adam Silver on this show say that they were looking at all of those contingency plans and potentially changing those protocols. But Woj, you also had a story with Baxter Holmes on ESPN.com this morning, which detailed the team's maybe frustrations with the league's protocols as they're in this race against COVID. So what exactly are those frustrations centered around?
Well, listen, there are a lot of frustrations around the league, not all with the league itself and the rules, but how they've had to try to manage COVID. But I think when the league decided before the season that they were not going to test daily asymptomatic vaccinated players, that it's created, I think, a frustration on the part of especially teams who've had outbreaks like Chicago, Sacramento, Charlotte, a number of teams who had to start testing more regularly with their other players because positive tests came up. And there are teams who certainly have been playing with COVID positive players who are asymptomatic that the teams didn't just test. And that's going to certainly be a challenge going forward. You're going to have more testing after Christmas into early January that the league's put in, daily game day testing for players. But I think you talk to some teams around the league and they start to say, hey, listen, I've got a staff member who tested positive, who may have been around players. I may not test those players. I may not want to know the results. And so while I think certainly, listen, player safety and not having COVID positive players on the floor or traveling or spreading this out, listen, it's certainly a priority, and a lot of teams take it very seriously. But the competitive nature of teams and the desire to keep players out of quarantine, to keep them in the lineup, listen, it's a factor in the decisions of how teams and individual players are viewing how they're trying to navigate this season.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.